Hey everybody! First official vlog of 2018, and it is Love and Hip Hop Miami. Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a safe and prosperous New Year, a blessed one. I spent it in the house with my kids, watched the ball drop, gave them kisses. With my son, he was knocked out by 10:30. My daughter, she's the one that likes to be up partying with mommy. But yeah, Love and Hip Hop Miami premiered on New Year's Day, and I have to say, like, the first episode, like, the cast is pretty likable. It's a couple of people who I'm not really feeling or ready, but let's just get into the episode. So it began with Trick Daddy talking about Miami and the song Paradise playing, which I guess is the song him, Trina, and somebody else made or whatever, I guess off of their Trick and Trina album. So the episode begins with the beautiful, oh, she is gorgeous, Amara La Negra. Oh my God, beautiful. That is a beautiful Dominican, Afro-Latina. She's beautiful. Like, hands down, she's gorgeous. And anybody that says different, you're a hater, because she's gorgeous. So, you know, she's, basically popping in the Latin charts. But her dream is to, cross over into the American market, you know, so she can take care of her mom, because her mom is an immigrant and has been here for, I think, 20 years. And, you know, she's like, my mom sacrificed so much for me, so this is how I want to repay her, you know, by being more successful, by crossing over, and I think that'll work. So she's like, I'm just trying to find, it's not easy, but I'm just trying to find a market that'll accept me, because being Afro-Latina is an issue. You know, people feel like if you are Afro-Latina, you're either not black enough or you're not Hispanic enough, which is not fair. But, you know, that is what it is in the world. But I'm glad someone like Amara La Negra is on this show to show girls like me, because like I said in the last vlog, I have, you know, my grandfather was Honduran. So, you know, I have some of like Latin, Hispanic roots in my family, and you know, it'll inspire girls like me to want to research their genealogy, to want to get more information on where their ancestors came from. And I praise Amara La Negra. She is trying to meet with a producer to work on crossing over, and his name is Young Hollywood. So meeting up with him, she brings her mom with her. Now, that's a little frowned upon in like business meetings or whatever, because technically you do a business meeting, it's supposed to be you and that person. So she's like, well, you know, it's a 2-for-1 deal. I bring my mom everywhere with me because she sees things that I don't see, which is good. I get that, but you can't bring your mom to business meetings. Nobody's going to take you serious, but I get what she's saying. So, now we move on to Gunplay. We're introduced to Gunplay. Gunplay is a rapper, and he lived in Atlanta at one point, I believe. But he grew up in Miami, Carroll City, grew up in Miami, got into trouble with the law or whatever, and you know, changed his ways and everything. So he wants to come back to Miami just to, I guess, get back into the game and start fresh, have a new lease on life. And he has a girlfriend named Kiara, and they've been through a lot. As far as I know, Kiara was shot 3 times or something like that. She almost lost her life when he was going to prison, something like that. So, you know, Gunplay is pretty likable, but Kiara's concern is that them coming back to Miami is going to put him back into his old ways, because him living in Miami and, you know, the stuff that he was getting into, the groupies, I think the gang life, stuff like that, that's what got him in trouble. So she's worried about him falling into his old ways. Gunplay is trying to reassure her that nothing is going to go wrong, that he's a changed man and he's just here for the music. Now we get introduced, well, we already know Shay. I'm sorry, y'all. I have not liked Shay since Flavor of Love. It's just something about her. I just dislike her. And I disliked her even more on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So her being on Love and Hip Hop Miami, I really don't care for it, because I kind of feel like she's just thirsty for a reality TV check. I mean, that's just my opinion. I just don't like Shay. I don't know why. She's just not likable to me. And apparently, you know, she's dating Pleasure P now because she claims that after her breakup with Scrappy, you know, which was like 1,000 years ago, she was depressed and everything, whatever. So she started dating Pleasure P. They were in a long distance relationship. Then she finally decided to make the big move to Miami because Miami was a better move for her. So Pleasure P is letting her know, you know, oh, I'm thinking about getting the guys back together. Like a lot of these R&B groups, which I'm proud of because that means good music is going to continue coming out. A lot of these R&B groups are, you know, getting back together to create new music and things like that. So Pleasure P is telling her, hey, you know, I'm getting the fellas together. We're going to go on tour. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. She's against it because Pretty Ricky had a really bad falling out. Like, it was bad to the point where I think they was calling Pleasure P a pedophile and stuff like that. Like, it was a lot of stuff going on. I remember hearing about Pretty Ricky and all of that. But, you know, Pleasure P is like, well, we're hashing that stuff out. Like, you know, we still working that stuff out, but we really want to get back together for this reunion. We want to get back to the fans. And, you know, she's like, well, you were just fine doing solo. Them guys will be nothing without you. I mean, which is semi-true because he did do good solo. Like, his solo album, boy, I still bump that to this day. Like, I did you wrong, you did me wrong. That was my song. That and Boyfriend Number 2, man, listen. Pleasure P solo album was bumping back in the day. So, I mean, I get where Shay is coming from, but at the same time, just support him. Like, you can have your opinion, but just support him because this is something that he wants to do. So just support him. Like, have your opinion, but keep that opinion to yourself and support him. So now we meet Bobby Lights. Bobby Lights is an openly gay rapper. You know, he gets criticized on the internet for being a rapper and being gay, which is, you know, again, another thing that happens in the hip hop industry. But I applaud him for being brave and, you know, openly admitting, hey, I'm gay, this is what it is. I'm gay and I can rap too. Nothing wrong with that. You know, who says you can't rap and be gay? Who says you can't rap and be white? Who says you can't rap and be, you know, you can, if you can rap, it don't matter what color it is, as long as you it don't matter what your color, your status, your orientation, none of that. It don't matter what none of that is, as long as you have the talent and you work hard at your craft. But Bobby Lights is a bit of a firecracker. He's Trina's cousin, and he comes off like he has this sense of entitlement. Like, because he's Trina's cousin, you know, he could get away with stuff. But Trina is not feeling him, really, because of an incident that happened with her assistant. So, we're introduced to Trina. Everybody already knows who Trina is. Trina is, you know, she was like the first, I think, female rapper of Slip and Slide Records with Trick Daddy. And, you know, her and Trick performing, you know, now. Who live the places I live? That song was popping too, even though I thought it was stupid. When I was growing up, it was a stupid song. It was popping, I ain't gonna lie. It was a popping song. But, you know, her and Trick, they performing that song. And they're having like a little party. Bobby Light shows up. Trina doesn't put him on the list. And she said because the last time that they've, you know, that she's had an event or something with Bobby Lights, he got into an argument with the assistant. It was like a brawl. So, you know, it's tension because of that. So she tries to, like, you know, distance herself from him. But he still pops up like, well, I'm your blood cousin. So I just want the respect. You support everybody else's music but mine. But it's like, I get where Trina is coming from. Sidebar. Okay, I like the fact that Trina is on Love and Hip Hop. But I specifically remember her saying about 2 or 3 years ago that she would never join Love and Hip Hop. And now she's on Love and Hip Hop Miami. So I kind of feel like she went against her word. But I mean, at the same time, I'm trying to let it slide because I like Trina. But I just had to put that out there. She did say that like a couple of years back. Like, no, I would never join Love and Hip Hop. And yet, here we are in 2018. I just want to point that out. You know, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so Trina is letting him know, listen, I didn't put you on the list. You're barely invited because you don't know how to act. When you learn how to simmer down and, you know, relax and just chill, then you could be invited places. You can't expect to be invited places when you don't know how to act. So he's like, well, I'm your blood cousin. I'm your family. You should respect me, blah, 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 blah. Trina's like, listen, I ain't got time for this. I'm about to head to another party. You do what you want to do. I'm out. And I'm like, I mean, that's what happens when you don't know how to act around people. So now we get to Pretty Ricky, and they're discussing getting back into the studio. They're discussing past issues. The focal point of the conversation is that they feel like they basically feel like, well, Baby Blue feels like Pleasure P takes all the credit for the group when he was the one that was in the studio mixing, mastering. He ate, breathed, slept in the studio to help with the music, but he feels like he doesn't get credit for it. The other guys are like, listen, we all had a hand in our success. It wasn't just one person. It wasn't just two people. It was all four of us. Pretty Ricky wouldn't be Pretty Ricky without all four of us. So naturally, Baby Blue is like, he feels he's the most defensive because, like I said, he feels like he's done like a lot of work and gets no credit for it. And I mean, not to say that Pleasure P is, the main one in the group, the only one that does work or anything. But I mean, Pleasure P, it was the only singer. Everybody else was a rapper. So it's like, without Pleasure P, the group is kind of like pointless. Not to say that Pleasure P made the group, but I'm saying without Pleasure P being the singer, the group was kind of pointless. Because I think they even tried to replace Pleasure P and it didn't work. So, they're all just hashing out their differences. They clearly still got issues to iron out. So they're just, banking on working towards that, doing their show in Miami and just seeing how everything goes. So now we get to this scene with Amara and Young Hollywood. And this scene kind of annoyed me because I felt like Young Hollywood was being very ignorant. So Amara goes into the meeting with him and, they're just talking about her look. They're talking about, he's like, I feel like Amara she needs guidance, like she needs help. And if she doesn't listen to me, then she won't be able to cross over, whatever. So they're having a conversation about the dinner the other night, I guess, and her mom being there. And she's like, well, my mom is there for protection, and I mean, I understand it because the industry is very, very tough. Like they judge you for everything. They try to like be shady. So I understand her having her mom around or whatever. That's very understandable. But it is kind of unprofessional to bring other people in on a business meeting. So I understand Young Hollywood's, his perception of that. And I understand Amara's perception of why she brought her mom. So I get it. So then he starts to talk about her image and how she's like, he wants her to be more Beyonce and, less of what she is. Which I honestly think Amara is very unique. She's how she dressed, how she looks is very rare. Like, rarely do you see girls. I mean, you see them, but to be in the Latin market and want to cross over, very rarely do you see that. And I mean, people were referencing Celia Cruz and, who else? Like, quite a few people who are, who paved the way. But Amara wants to, carry that torch, and she feels like she can do it, like she's strong enough to do it. And I mean, I'm here for it. So he's like, you need to be more Beyonce, and I'm like, why is it that everybody wants to groom people to be somebody who's already successful? Like, Amara could be successful in her own right. She doesn't have to be the next J-Lo. She doesn't have to be Beyonce. She doesn't have to be Mariah Carey. Let her be Amara and like see how that works. And it's not like that's the only style she could rock is the afro. I've seen pictures of Amara with braids, ponytail, short haircut. That girl could rock anything. Her look is so diverse. Like, you can play around with her look so much. So instead of taking it away, like, she needs to, an afro is not elegant. It's not, it's more like, black power. She could be elegant in an afro. Who says she can't be elegant? Like, I feel like Amara is so diverse and like she's willing to, like, she's a chameleon. She can rock the fro. She could rock braids. She could rock a short hairdo. She could rock anything, in my opinion. Like, she could get her Rihanna on, And it's like, I don't like when people try to box artists, like put them in a box. And even Amara said that. She said, I don't want to live in the box. I want to always be outside of the box. I'm not Beyonce. I'm Amara La Negra. And I'm like, listen, there you go. You let it be known. You are you, and don't let nobody change that for you. But it's just a lot of stuff he was saying. It was just like real ignorant. Like he was like, you know, your Nutella brown skin, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, and then he's like, well, you know, she's basically telling him, well, you know, I'm Afro-Latina. And he's like, oh, because you have an afro, because you have an afro, you know, that makes you Afro-Latina. And she's like, no, Afro-Latina is an actual thing. And I'm like, this dude is ignorant. Like, seriously, there is a such thing as Afro-Latina, you know, trace your roots. You know, Spanish people are black. Either way you spin it, you're black. So I'm like, and aren't you Spanish? And this is how you talk? I'm like, see, this is ignorance right here. And I'm glad it's on display. I'm glad Amara left that meeting. It was just like, F you. I don't have to take this, you know, whatever. So now we move on to Gunplay and Kiara, and they're discussing their move to Miami or whatever. Kiara is very much worried about the groupies, the gang life, and all that other stuff. And he's just trying to reassure her, listen, I'm here to work. I'm here to secure this bag. You know, let's do it together, blah, blah, blah. But in doing so, he's saying that he works with Miami Tip, which is, I think, she's a stripper, but she's a rapper. And they used to smash. Kiara doesn't know that. I'm like, see, you setting yourself up right there. So, yeah, Kiara's just trying to get, like, reassurance from him. He's reassuring her everything is good. He's just here for the money, whatever. So now we get to Pretty Ricky at their show. Shay shows up to support him. She's like, I'm not here for the other guys. I'm here to support my man. So when the show was over, you know, she's throwing little jabs at Pretty Ricky, basically talking about the rest of y'all wouldn't be nothing without Pleasure P. So Baby Blue was like, where you find this hoe at? A halfway house? So her and Baby Blue arguing back and forth. She calling him fat and pregnant. He calling her a hoe, a thigh, all this other stuff. So Pleasure P is like, listen, these are my bros, and we just finished doing a show, and I need you to support me. And she's like, but listen, you don't need them. You can do everything on your own. He's like, okay, I understand that, but still, this is something that I'm doing in my career right now, and I just need your support. This is why I don't like Shay, because like I said, you know, you can have your opinion, but just support him. Keep the opinion to yourself. This is something he wants to do. Support him. So now we get to Miami Tip and Bobby Lights on their way to a lunch with Trina and Alvin that Trina knows nothing about. So apparently Bobby Lights and Miami Tip met up, and, you know, he's like, I feel like my cousin doesn't support me, you know. So she's like, well, I'm going to a lunch with Trina. If you would like to come and y'all would like to hash it out, you're more than welcome to. So she invited him. Trina's there with the assistant Alvin. That's the same assistant that Bobby got into it with couple of years ago. So they get to the lunch. Soon as they get there, you know, it's tension with Alvin and Bobby, and Alvin is like, I don't like you, you're beneath me, you're a firecracker, you feel like I'm a worker, you want to be in my shoes and be close to Trina, and you're not. And Bobby's like, well, you want to be related to her and you're not, and y'all not related, da da da. So he's like, I think Alvin was like, well, you're beneath me or something like that. Some insult he said. Bobby picks up a glass and throws it at him. And I'm like, see, this is why Trina invites you nowhere. So Trina pulls him outside and she's like, listen, you can't, you know, invade my privacy and try to invade my brand because you feel like you have this sense of entitlement because we're blood related. She's like, regardless, you can't ruin my brand. You can't ruin what I've created, you know, because you feel like I owe you something. I don't owe you anything. And he's like, well, I just want to be respected as your cousin. I want to be respected as an artist. She's like, in order for you to get respect, you have to give respect. And you're a firecracker. You can't come around with your outrageous ways and expect for people to want to be around you. I'm like, yeah, he has a lot of like damage control and grooming to be done. So, you know, Trina basically left it at that point, and she was like, you know what, I can't deal right now, I'm going. So he's like, well, good seeing you, and walked away. So overall, this was a pretty good, you know, episode for it to be the first episode of the first season. Like I said, the cast is pretty much likable. So far, I like Gunplay. I've you know, always liked Trina. Pleasure P, of course. I don't like Shay. Sorry, don't like Shay. Amara La Negra is at the top of the list for me. I like her. And I'm here for Pretty Ricky reuniting, because Pretty Ricky had hits back in the day. So yeah, so far, you know, the season like it's gonna be good. We're gonna be introduced to more people, more situations, see how everything plays out. But I'll do my best to review this weekly. And just any comments, like, comment, subscribe, you just let me know at the bottom. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. See you guys in the next video. Once again, Happy New Year. Hope it was a good one for you. Let's make 2018 great. Later.